Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seller Scale Show, where we help Amazon sellers become successful by bringing in guests and different experts from this space. Today, I have with me Pearl Aush. She's the Chief Operating Officer of First Choice Shipping. They are experts at helping Amazon sellers expand their business globally. Today, we'll be talking about shipping, logistics, and everything you need to know if you want to start selling internationally. Hey, Pearl, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. Very excited to be on today.
Same here, same here. When people ask you what it is that you do, how do you typically respond?
So the way I would explain it is that we're like the shipping options that Amazon provides you when you're shipping domestically. So let's say I'm selling on Amazon USA and I create my work order and Amazon will give me various options. If it's going to be through, let's say, small parcel, they'll give me UPS, they'll give me FedEx, and they'll give me really discounted rates because of the volume that they do. We are that model when it comes to the international marketplace because Amazon does not provide shipping solutions when it comes to international selling. So if I want to expand my business and sell on Amazon UK or Amazon Canada, things like that, anywhere that it would take from me to send inventory across the ocean and it has to pass customs, that's something that we would help you with because Amazon does not want to get involved with the logistics that involve customs, any government regulations and things like that. So being that you'll use somebody like us, you'll be getting very steep discounts, just like you would be getting with Amazon when it's domestic. Of course, the rates are not going to be as cheap because it's going international in the same way like if I'm traveling by plane to from I'm in New York. So if I want to go to Florida, it's not going to be as expensive, let's say, that if I want to go visit you in London, right? So same idea, the rates will be a little bit more expensive. So people shouldn't expect rates to be like domestic pricing. But with our solution, being that we do shipping for thousands of Amazon clients that are expanding internationally, the rates will be extremely discounted.
Right. So I can benefit from your service. Say I'm a seller selling in the United States, and I understand that sending my product from California to Wyoming, it's okay, right? And the FBA is going to take care of that. But when it comes to shipping my product from California to, let's say, London, there are going to be a lot of problems, right?
Right.
But I mean, as you mentioned, and your tagline says international shipping made easy. Could you provide some concrete examples of the challenges that a seller might encounter when expanding overseas? In my example, if I'm shipping from the US to UK, what are the challenges that are going to be on the border? What's going to happen to my product on the border?
Okay, so it's just like when I'm traveling, right? I have to go through customs. Going back, let's say to the example of the UK, when I arrive, I would have to get my passport and make a formal entry into the country. They'll ask me various questions, how long I'm staying, etc. And they're going to want to make sure that whatever I'm declaring with my packages is done the proper way. So when I'm shipping into the UK, same idea. My packages are actually going through security. They want to make sure we're shipping things that are safe, not any hazardous materials. And of course, they want to make sure that you're not shipping anything that's not allowed to be shipped in general, like, explosive drugs, things like that. So when you're using somebody like us, we're going to guide you properly on certain items that will tell you right away, this is not going to work. So typically, we'll ask a seller, send us a link to your Amazon storefront from those items that you're looking to sell, and we'll tell you if customs is going to allow it to be shipped. Sometimes you could ship these things domestically within the country, but when it goes internationally, there are different laws with every country. Um, Certain things people will struggle with is not realizing there's going to be obviously duties and taxes on the items that you're shipping. So you have to have that in mind and mark up your product properly and see when I do mark it up, am I actually going to be able to make a sale if I'm comparing my listing to various other sellers that are selling similar or the same item? Something else that Amazon will not provide to you is something called the importer of record, which a lot of sellers struggle with. The importer of record is the person that is responsible for the clearance and the security of the shipment, that they're taking responsibility that whatever is being shipped is actually allowed to be shipped, and that any taxes related to that shipment, they're going to be handling,
Right.
meaning to say customs taxes. So typically, the receiver is the one that is going to be paying for it. So if I am, let's say, selling on a different platform, let's say on eBay, you typically would ship it directly to the customer, and the customer receives it. He would typically pay for the taxes because that's how it works in international standards. Whoever buys a product, the receiver pays for the taxes before it's delivered to them. When it comes to Amazon, obviously they do not want to pay taxes when you're shipping it to their warehouse in the UK, let's say. So what they want to make sure is that you're prepaying your taxes. And this is something
Mm.
that a lot of people go wrong with. So the importer of record is one thing that Amazon is going to want to make sure that they're not the importer of record, because like I said, usually the receiver is the one that is the importer of record. It has to be an address in the location that you're shipping to. So make sure that the forwarder that you're using will be able to act as your importer of record, and that will mean they'll have an address or a warehouse that will act as the importer in the country that you're shipping to. In our case, we have warehouse locations and all the locations that Amazon has FBA centers. So let's say in the UK, in Canada, Australia, Dubai, Singapore, we have our warehouses that will be the importer for our clients instead of Amazon. And then as well as the taxes, we make sure that the shipper is paying for it and we're shipping it in the proper terms. And for sellers that are doing this on their own, they should make sure when they're shipping it out and they have an invoice that is going to state very clearly what they're shipping and what the value is, they should clearly use the Incoterm of DDP, which means that it's delivered duties paid, and not DDU, which is delivered duties unpaid, which is a big mistake a lot of sellers are making. They're not taking into account, just to summarize, the importer of record, that the importer cannot be Amazon. You have to find an alternative. And second, making sure taxes are prepaid. That I would say is like two of the biggest things that people struggle with when they actually start, because the carriers they're working with are not familiar with, how Amazon works.
Right, right, right. So you're basically guiding the seller through this whole process, and you're making this seamlessly easy. But you mentioned that there are certain goods and like certain countries have different regulations when it comes to hazmat and different product categories. In your experience, did you have? Can you provide an example of, let's say, a seller who was selling one product line in the US, it went well. But when he decided to expand, let's say Canada, he had certain problems and he couldn't sell it and couldn't export it there.
Yeah, good question. So usually animal derived products, things that are made from animal parts, milk derived products could be an issue. And again, those are items that would be totally okay to ship within the United States, let's say. So there are certain milk products that are going to be okay. It depends on the percentage of how much of it is made up of milk. So those are things that we would be able to help them with, is by taking a look at the product,
Mm-hmm.
link description, nutrition facts, and we'll discuss it with the right parties to make sure they are allowed to ship it, because we don't want people starting to ship and then it's rejected by customs, and then obviously there's costs that are just incurring for no reason. So yeah, definitely, animal derived products, milk contained products, fish derived stuff, things that have like fish oils, those things could be an issue. And then regular, like I said, hazmat. So people shipping, nail polish, paint, things that they could ship, by ground in the United States would be an issue. Overseas, batteries, loose batteries could be a problem. Yeah, that would be some of the most popular things that people are not aware of.
Interesting. So basically, to sum up, you're helping sellers analyze their situation and their product line and determine what markets are going to accept what. Then you provide the, you said importer of record, right?
Correct? Yep.
You also help them prepay taxes so that Amazon does not become the taxpayer. But I'm listening to you and I'm wondering how do returns are handled on the international scale? Let's say that I'm shipping a product from the United States, my customer is in the United Kingdom, and I have a return. What do I do? How does this happen internationally?
Yeah, great question. So the same way Amazon is not shipping the way going, they're not going to ship it the way back. So what we have in place are warehousing partners, our own warehouses that you're able to create a removal order and send it to those warehouses, and then we'll either consolidate it or ship it back as is directly to your location. Or sometimes we'll be able to resticker it for you if the product is brand new and send it back into Amazon. So yeah, that's another thing that people don't realize. Like nobody thinks about returns because it's at the very end of the process. But yeah, something very important to have in mind that there is an option for returns.
Right, right. And I mean, we're talking about exp- international expansion as a way to scale your Amazon business. But is that the best option when you reach a certain point? And you do work with sellers of all shapes and sizes, right? It seems to me that at one point you have to make a decision. Either you diversify into other marketplaces and try to get off Amazon as much as possible and go on eBay, Walmart, and other marketplaces, or maybe your own Shopify store, right? Or you're looking for other markets on the globe like Amazon Japan, which is now booming, and Amazon is pushing it really hard.
Yeah.
Amazon Canada, UK, whatnot. Is international expansion always a good option, or does it depend on the seller? What kind of thinking process do you have to go through when deciding that?
Yeah, so it really depends on the seller and if they are set up in a way that they're really in control of their business. You know, some people are expanding before they made the best of what they can in the United States. You know,
Right.
you usually should try to see that you're maximizing the United States as much as possible. But, you know, it is the largest marketplace in the world. But there is something to be said about working on in international marketplaces where the competition is so much smaller and people in those locations because of that reason are going to pay more for the product because there is less people obviously on the listing, number one, and number two, when they are buying certain American made products, to them it's like a brand, you know, they're excited
Right.
to buy that and they'll pay a premium for it. So it's really up to the seller to know if they are maximizing the states as much as they can. And then we do have sellers that will do even better internationally than they do in the states because of the competition. So it really depends on the product. I do say try to stick to smaller size products to see if those products are going to be able to be, you know, successful because it's easier to ship those faster. You're able to ship those by air. You know, we offer shipping by sea and by air, but shipping by air is quicker. You can have a faster turnaround, you know, and replenish quicker that way. And if the item is small, it's going to be pretty cheap if you're able to ship so many pieces inside, you know, just one box, two boxes, three boxes. I mean, the shipping, you know, master cartons. So that's something that I always look at to see is the item small? Is it saturated already on that market? And of course, after rolling in the extra fees like the shipping and the taxes, usually I tell sellers like 26% is a good number to look at, let's say for the UK, to upcharge on whatever you're selling it in the States for it to be
Mm.
profitable. So 26% is usually a good
Does
number
this
to
include
work with.
tax, if VAT tax?
Yeah, because taxes is usually around 20%, and then you
Right.
could counter about 6% for shipping. So people usually find that to be a good number. Yeah, so that's definitely something that you know people need to look at and see where they are at that point. But if you have an item that's selling very well, you see it selling very well in the UK or in Canada, it's a very easy expansion. We do help as well with the registrations to get people started. So like in the UK, we help them with a VAT registration. And then we help for Canada, we do the Canadian business number setup as well in-house. So these are some of the things that people need in order to get started. And what our goal is as a company is not only the actual shipping, but to have the value added services all around it to make it possible that people should be able to ship. Again, Amazon does not provide any of these services, and this is the reason why we are the number one recommended provider by Amazon when it comes to the international marketplace. And we try to do the best that we can to make it as easy as possible.
Interesting. I have two questions on that, two follow-ups. One is 26% you mentioned, and that's only the UK, right? So you can
Right.
use that as rule of thumb for Canada or other
No, that would be
markets.
for the UK. That's right.
And what do you use for Canada,
So
approximately?
Canada, it's a little bit more difficult because each province over there has its own tax rate. So a province by them is a state by us over here in the States.
Yeah.
So it really would depend, but we could definitely recommend them to speak to certain tax consultants that we work with over there, and it would be on a case by case basis depending on their product. It
Right.
could be as
And
high as 19%. It would be similar if you're talking about the highest amount, like usually we
yeah,
find
probably the
19%.
highest. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it could be lower. So that's
Hmm.
the best you know the
Well,
worst
it's
case
good to be a
scenario.
pessimist. Yeah, it's good to be a
Yeah,
pessimist about it.
exactly, exactly. Yes, so just percentages if people want to know like what kind of sales they'll be doing compared to other markets, always, referring back to the US market, we find people doing about 25% of what they do in the States and the UK, and then about 10% of what they do in the United States and Canada.
Is that
Um,
sales volume?
Sales volume, but people have to have in mind that that 25% could be so much more profitable than what you're doing in the United States
Right, right, right,
because you might be selling it at a higher cost.
right, 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 right. And I mean, you mentioned, and you're talking about first choice shipping as this hub, this center for anything logistics and expanding globally mainly. But do you help sellers estimate demand and understand what markets they should go to, consult them and advise them?
Not necessarily, our account managers do know, what categories would be great to ship to, depending on what you're selling. But we wouldn't be able to advise you, this item, hot seller. But what we could do is if a seller does reach certain thresholds in the United States, and that typically for the Amazon reps that we work with from directly with the teams that are recruiting sellers to expand, what we could do is we could connect them with one of those reps if they do a certain amount of sales in the US. And those Amazon reps could take a really good audit of their account and tell them, oh, this item, yeah, that's a hot seller in the UK or in
Right.
Canada if it would be a rep for that. So that's a connection that we have and that we could connect sellers to directly, and they'll be able to help them according to the rankings if it would be good for them.
Right. So it's not like that I have an Amazon business and I just decided to expand globally and I call first choice shipping and I say, guys, help me out. No, I need to have a plan. I need to have a strategy. I need to understand what product
Right.
lines or what markets I want to position in.
Exactly. Look, we could help either by Amazon, recommending them to an Amazon rep, or we'll give them an agency that we could recommend that do a really good job with certain clients that we, work with, that those agencies are helping them expand. But for regular sellers that are not looking to do anything too comprehensive, they could use somebody like Jungle Scout or Helium 10, and they could do the
Right, right,
ranking
right.
analysis on their own and see could this item work or not.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
A big question, another big question that sellers should ask themselves before they launch a business is whether to go with Amazon FBA or FBM, as in fulfilled by merchant.
Right.
I mean, again, what kind of thought process should you go through in order to make the right decision? Is it as simple as just do FBA and forget about it because FBM is so difficult, or is there something else? Does it depend on the type, size of company you're operating?
So some people like to start with FBM and just to see, the trend and where orders are coming from. In the EU, they'll be able to see from the 5 countries. It's France, Germany, Italy, Spain, UK. They could see where orders are coming from. And some people would like to do FBA just because FBA, you'll do 80% better on your listing than if you're doing FBM, just because Amazon is going to push it.
Right, the
And
buy box.
you Right, exactly. The buy box, and it's going to be ranked higher. They have their algorithms, but it's 100% it's gonna convert way better by doing FBM. So what we recommend people doing is, I'm sorry, FBA. So what we recommend people doing when they're doing FBA is just take a box and just put in your top 5 products and try it out that way. And you're doing, very low risk. by starting that way, and you're going to see the best return hopefully pretty quickly versus doing the FBM model, which it's going to take a very long time until you're going to see, what's actually happening. It's a small risk, and it's worth the shot, because typically if you're doing your due diligence and you're looking in before starting, and you see the rankings are right, and you know what your taxes will be, you know what your shipping should be, it shouldn't be that big of a risk. And it's, for most people, it's definitely worth taking at the end of the day.
Right, right, makes sense. And I mean, you're not taking a big risk as you mentioned, and they're not too big of losses that you can incur. But I mean, speaking about different businesses and different sellers, at what point should a seller consider working with a company like yours?
We work from, the number one seller on Amazon. I'm not looking to say names, right? That's confidential, but we work with from the top 10 sellers on Amazon US, and then we work with some of the smallest sellers. And for us, there's no minimum, there's no maximum. You could ship as much as you'd like, or you could just set up an account, which is always free, and just leave it that way. But we'll try to get you to start. But point being, for us, it doesn't matter what kind of seller you are. We're happy to help you. You're going to get the same service regardless. And it's always worth the shot. So you might just grow with something that you never anticipated, and it might just end up being bigger than what you have in the United States. So yeah, for us, we're happy to work with any size seller.
Makes sense. And what's your unique selling point? Like when sellers compare different carriers, like First Choice Shipping and other similar companies out there,
Right.
how do you differentiate?
So firstly, I don't think there's anybody that exists out there that does exactly what we do, and I'll explain to you why. So we really simplify the process. Like you said earlier, our tagline is
Right.
international shipping made easy. So I didn't talk yet about our shipping portal, but we have our own dedicated portal that we developed on our own. We have our in-house development team, that we have all the carriers like UPS, DHL, FedEx integrated into our platform, and we simplify the process on how to create shipments that literally is not going to take you more than 5 minutes. And I don't know if you ever try creating an international shipment directly on these carriers' websites. It's impossible. I can tell
Yeah.
you, I tried, and I'm doing shipping for many years, and I could not figure it out. So it's very difficult. And we also put in the process of how to create your commercial invoice, which is the document for customs to see what you're shipping, how you're shipping it and what the items are. So we actually have that in place as well on the portal, that you're literally just going to put in the item description and the value. And we generate for you a harmonized code, which is for customs, the best code that will be the item that you're shipping for, you know, customs to know exactly this is what I'm shipping, and they're not going to charge you for taxes on an item that's similar in that category that is a higher rate, because that's typically what customs might do. For example, like if I'm shipping a watch and I'm just going to put in watches on my commercial invoice without including the code that customs uses for, let's say, a plastic watch that I'm shipping, they might use a code for a gold watch, and it's going to be way more in taxes. So it's something that we offer that tool in our system. And then of course we have the pickup that can be scheduled in the system. And again, this takes literally 3 to 5 minutes. It's really dumbed down and it's so simple. You have an option of shipping your labels, emailing your labels directly from the portal to your supplier or your factory, whoever you're working with. And yeah, it's something that we really made easy. And then of course the added services to make it happen, that you could register in-house with us for either VAT or NRI registration. And for anybody that reaches out to us after watching this podcast, we'd be very happy to offer free of charge VAT registration and NRI registration for Canada, which that's for VAT registration, it's around $1,000 value. And for the NRI registration, depending who you work with, companies will charge you around $400 for that. So we'll be happy to give an offer to your viewers. So yeah, so again, you're having somebody onboarded with an account manager from our side, guiding you step by step from the registration to actual shipping it out to monitoring it. We have a clearance team that monitors your shipment every 15 minutes until final delivery. working with a carrier directly, you will never get that kind of service anywhere. And of course, the rates will never be as cheap. And then the value added service of actually getting started with having an importer of record for you, having the VAT registration done for you, that is something that you would have to figure out yourself. So our goal was cutting out all the middlemen and doing everything in house. And yeah, so we love doing what we do. And then with the ocean component, like I said, we do ocean as well. We do the imports from people producing product overseas. So we do the same thing, point A to point B, the entire process, picking it up, customs clearance, delivery straight into Amazon, all that under one roof. And yeah, that's just what people love. They don't want to start dealing with many different companies to get one thing done. So yeah, that's what I would say is our strong point.
Exactly, and I'm definitely going to put in the link in the show notes for our viewers. And thanks for the generous gift to our audience. One
Sure.
thing that amazes me and that I love about talking with agency and service founders like yourself is that it seems to me that there is a whole stack around Amazon and around Amazon sellers of services, and they don't. And the Amazon market is evolving. Like back like 5 years ago, I mean, you had to figure out a lot of stuff on your own, right? Now you have all these different services like first choice shipping for freight and for international expansion. You have Helium 10, you have Seller Scale Us,
Yeah.
helping people with their finances, and it seems that becoming a successful seller on Amazon becomes more competitive and harder as the time goes, but on the other hand easier because you have all these services around, right? And you can create a stack. And we actually surveyed our users at one point, and we realized that a lot of our users are using like 2 to 3, sometimes even 5 different services and vendors in addition to Seller Scale as their day-to-day systems to help them operate their
Wow.
business.
Wow.
uh, is there anything you'd like to add before our final traditional question on the show?
I don't think so. I just want to tell people that if they have any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me on either LinkedIn or my email. My email is pa@firstchoiceship.com, P for Peter. And yeah, we're always happy to help. And anything that we could do to make this process simpler, that's what we're here for.
Amazing. So our traditional question is from Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. What truth do very few people agree with you on? Basically, what is your contrarian view that goes against commonly accepted notions in the Amazon industry?
Again, could you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
hard one. What truth do very few people agree with you on? Is there anything that you believe and a lot of people disagree with you on?
I wouldn't say so. No. I,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with you, should they go on LinkedIn and find you on LinkedIn, and we'll have your email address in the show notes. Is that where we should send them?
Yep. That's perfect. Perfect.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Pearl. Thank you for
Excellent.
taking the time to be here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Take care.